intra and extra ministry. Some of them are here. It's a Sunday, so some others are not here. Then also, we also have Father Rex, and also Columban, but also with a peace group based in Iligan and Marawi, ng mga kauban, si Cora, for instance. No? But Cora is also guapa. Guapa sa MSU main campus and also from Iligan. Our partners in the interfaith. Dito po na ito pagpakan. So, kauban yun. Ito yung mga kauban sa Marawi, sa Lanao. Okay. And then we also have from St. John Pinay Theological Seminary, led by Ma'am Venus, Poro Genista. So the members of Poro Genista, then that's Poro Genista. Okay. And then we also have, of course, our partners from the Namaste, the prayer group, Namaste. So Dr. Amora, some others are here. And then we also have members of COPTAC, okay? Alumni from Xavier. And then, of course, we have the XUCA, Xavier University Campus, College of Agriculture, Sir Sulin, Asalantrel, Borja, and many others na pa dito. Na po year of service, volunteer alumni, mga anak ni Bishop. Yan yung mga anak, yung mga apo. That's what we call him. Bishop, Father Bishop, and Lolo Bishop sa mga anak sa mga alumni. And we also have volunteers alumni, JVP, Jesuit volunteers, and we also have the Year of Service Volunteer Program. And Aputi Kauban, mga hindi sa ministries, and then else. Natin kauban din yung mga hindi sa eskwelahan. We have they are actually members of the Distonately Partners. They call themselves Circle of Lay Companions of the this Compañía de Maria. Nagikan sila sa Liceo de Cagayan. So they are in university. So natin sa Liceo, we have also from CU, si Dr. Amor Torres, also handling peace building program. And what is we have from Xavier also, from Vianney, so these are for schools. Then we also have partners from Samdana Institute and also Hiraya youth-led organization. Also, I think accompanied by Columban, no? The Columban fathers. Okay, Samdana. What else? Pabay natong naligtan, of course sila sweet, mga anak si Bishop din yung mga apo. These are mga peace in the peace building, and there are also some of us are working in the conflict. That's why for peace. So, daghang salamat for being here with us. So, bigan sa Marawi, sa Iligan, sa Lanao, Cagayan, Hinoog, Bukidnon as well. Napay maabot bigan sa and also Xavier University, by the way, Xavier University Campus Ministries, represented by Mike Asenas. No? Naapot tayo, di kan po sila sa, representing also as Diocesan Campus Ministries, no? Na sa mga non-Catholic school, no? Na ating mga Campus Ministries program. So this is the network that we have here. Apa? Okay na no? So sige, daghang salamat and thank you very much for coming. Especially for bishops. Among giingon na kining naadali nga giimbita ng bishop for the launching of the peace building for Pax Christi, Pilipinas. But at the same time, this is also to celebrate the peace builders 29th Episcopal ordination anniversary. So, daghang salamat, welcome, ug salamat sa pagkain. Okay. And it's a privilege also to be able to introduce to you our guest speaker. Kay mag-istorya hindi ganit karon sa man siya kini mga amigo ni Bishop, higala or friends. So that's how we usually introduce now people who are connected with him and then in occasions like this, friends. So, Dr. Loretta Castro, our guest speaker or resource person for this event, is a long-time Pax Christi Philippines member. And she is representing the current Pax Christi president, who is not here, Dr. Gail Galang. She is not able to come because her family is celebrating now her father's 95th birthday. No? So, but Dr. Castro is also currently heads the Center for Peace Education of Miriam College. Of course, based in Quezon City, that's beside Ateneo de Manila University. But ang ilang opisina also serves as the secretariat and also the physical office of Pax Christi Pilipinas here in the Philippines. So please help me welcome to the Archdiocese of Cagayan de Oro and the City of Golden Friendship, just celebrated this fiesta, in particular in this very important occasion. Our guest speaker, please help me welcome Ma'am Loretta, Dr. Loretta Castro.
Okay, thank you so much, Mirna. And magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. It's really a delight for me to be here. You know, in 2017, Bishop Tony invited me and my colleague to come here to give a seminar. And it was held exactly in this venue. So, I'm very happy that today I could come back 8 years later and to celebrate with you the 29th Episcopal ordination of anniversary of our much loved Bishop Tony. And thank you also, Bishop Joe, for welcoming me and all of us this afternoon. I was asked to speak on two topics. The first one is about the Pax Christi movement, and then offer some thoughts later about the theme, building hope through gospel nonviolence. And I want to tell you that I'm a bit anxious because many of you are, well, we have two bishops and then priests and those who are training to become priests, and you are all church workers, and I'm sure you're very familiar or you already know what I might be sharing later. So if, anyway, later on there will be, as far as I know, a bit of an open forum, and if I cannot ask questions, Bishop Tony will answer them for me. Okay. All right. So, okay. So, first I'd like to talk about Pax Christi International. That is the mother movement, okay? And it is based in Belgium. And just a bit about the history. In 1945, Pax Christi was officially founded in France as a crusade of prayer for Germany. And it was led by a lay woman and a bishop. And their idea was to build reconciliation with Germany because the war had just ended. France was occupied territory, and when the war ended, they wanted to have, reconciliation with Germany because there were Christians and Catholics also in Germany. So in 1952, Pax Christi International gained status as an official international Catholic peace movement under Pope Pius XII. Currently, it is a global network of nearly 100 organizations committed to advancing integral peace through active nonviolence. Now, as for the mission of Pax Christi International, this is what they have indicated in their website. So there are mainly three. Promote gospel nonviolence, justice, and reconciliation rooted in Catholic social teaching. Alleviate intense human suffering caused by war and violent conflicts, and act in the international stage through their consultative status at the United Nations and in UNESCO. UNESCO is UN Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. So what are the current advocacy priorities of the PCI? So first is just peace in Israel and Palestine. So how have they done this? They have issued statements condemning the atrocities that have been happening in that part of the world. Of course, they have rebuked violence, but they are now really speaking very much against the violence that the Israeli Defense Forces are doing vis-a-vis the Palestinians. And they, of course, uphold the stand of the Catholic Church. At least Pope Francis was very explicit about it, that there should be a two-state solution in that part of the world. There should be a separate Palestinian state, which of course Israel is denying and is not supporting at all. Then nuclear weapons and disarmament. Pax Christi International was very active in the advocacy for the treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons, which was passed by the United Nations in 2017, and it entered into force in 2021. And you will be happy to know that Pax Christi Pilipinas, through the leadership of our Bishop President, Bishop Tony, had helped in the campaign for the ratification by the Philippine government. He wrote the senators, appealing to them to ratify, because any treaty ratification is done by our Senate. And this was successful. In February 2021, our government, through the Senate, had concurred in the ratification of the treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons. And then, of course, the third area for priority is ecological justice. As far as I know, they're very active in Latin America, campaigning against the extractive industry or the mining industries. PCI member organizations have their own priorities based on their local contexts. Now we have what we call the special program under the Pax Christi International. It is the Catholic Nonviolence Initiative. And Bishop Tony and myself, we are both active in that initiative. And CNI believes that nonviolence is central to the teaching of Jesus and vital to the mission of the Catholic Church. CNI seeks to empower Catholics everywhere to embrace the path of love and truth. And there is a website dedicated to this Catholic Non-Violence Initiative that you might like to check out later. I have placed there the website. But if you just Google Catholic Non-Violence Initiative, this website will come up. Now I move to Pax Christi Pilipinas. Okay, all right. So Pax Christi Pilipinas, or PCP for short, is a faith-based loose network, not strictly an organization with fees and fixed duties, but more of a movement of kindred spirits. So that's all of us. Okay, we are. By your very presence here, you are my kindred spirit. We are all kindred spirits. And we share the same commitment to integral peace and non-violence based on love, justice, and the common good. I am so sure that your very presence here means that, okay? We are all committed to those goals. Okay? Okay, so Pax Christi Pilipinas areas of work are varied and are based on the existing advocacies of members over the years. These were on the following, no? Peace education and violence training, interfaith dialogue and cooperation. Example, Bishop Tony, we all know how he's very active in interreligious dialogue. We also have Pax Christi Youth, and our Pax Christi Youth have activities with the youth in Barn. We all know that's the Bangsamoro territory, no? Okay, the other one is disarmament advocacy through forums and campaigning via social media and with government for treaty ratification. Campaigning against war, for ceasefires and peace talks in the Philippines and beyond. And then we have environmental protection and sustainability and assistance to IPs and the marginalized. Also, the Pax Christi Pilipinas have had forums on youth, parents, families for peace and also for psychosocial well-being. So in other words, you can see it's a very broad range of activities that the members have taken, and it is because we start from where we are. I mean, I'm sure each one of us has a particular type of peace advocacy. So if you are a Pax Christi Pilipinas-CDO chapter member, we don't ask you to do so much more, because the mere fact that you are already doing what you're doing is already accepted as your contribution to the movement. So that's why we hope that all of you are here will signify your interest in being members of the Pax Christi Pilipinas CDO chapter, because it's really not going to ask you for so much more. We go by what you're already doing for peace. And of course, peace, as you all know, is defined very comprehensively and broadly. It is not just against physical violence or war, but it includes all kinds of work that we do, even those that we do for social action, for love, because as Mother Teresa has said, whatever you do in the name of love, that's peace work. Okay? So a bit about the Pax Christi Pilipinas structure. I know that there is a board of 7 people, and it is led by Bishop President Tony Ledesma, and there's a lay president, Gail Galang. But as mentioned already by Mirna, it's the 95th birthday of her father. So she had requested me to be her representative. And there are already chapters existing, in Negros, in Davao, in Basilan, also in Metro Manila, including Pax Christi Youth, and now, of course, CDO. Okay. And there is a Facebook page that you can check out if you want to know more about Pax Christi Pilipinas. I just want to say a bit about the logo. This is the logo of Pax Christi of Miriam College. That's a student organization within our college, in a college level, and they have adopted it from the Pax Christi USA. And the logo is very meaningful. You can see a rose, and underneath it is a barbed wire as its stem. And it means our Christ-inspired faith confronts violence and oppression. By the way, the Pax Christi Youth, those of you who are involved in schools, in case you want to have a peace club, then they can be absorbed into that aggregation called Pax Christi Youth. And right now, there are only 3 members of Pax Christi Youth: Pax Christi of Miriam College, Pax Christi of Miriam High School, and the Claretian Peace Weavers. This is a student organization dedicated to peace in Claret School, based also in Quezon City. Alright, the next is just a photograph of the last General Assembly that was held in our campus, and you can see at the very center, Bishop Tony. He was there. All right. Okay, so let me move on. I now would like to speak about the theme, and I entitled it Some Notes on Building Hope Through Gospel Nonviolence. I'd like to present only 2 core messages. The first is, nonviolence is the central message of Jesus. Jesus' life and teachings. Nonviolence is the consequence of his most important commandment, which is love. And the second core message is the practice of nonviolence gives us hope. So first, I speak about the nonviolence of Jesus. And so I'd like to start with this statement. Jesus is the founder of Christianity, but many so-called Christians do not live by his teachings. And we need to recommit to his nonviolence. And the rest of the slide, until the next slide, I've actually taken from an article that was written by an American professor from a Jesuit university. And this is, so I'm just paraphrasing what he had written, which I read, which I think is very meaningful for our session. So first, he said, when Jesus says, turn the other cheek, Jesus illuminates a third way of nonviolence as a transformative and active alternative to either violence or passivity. So that's one of the first things that we have to emphasize. Nonviolence does not mean passivity. And that's why we say active nonviolence. We still do something, okay? But we never employ physical violence. Jesus pointed out another way: build an inclusive community, including so-called enemies, by using the power of non-violent, loving, willing to risk suffering action. So, that's from Dr. Terence Rin. And then, in the next slide, I took some of the quotes he mentioned from Pope Benedict the 16th. And I quote, "Loving your enemies does not consist in surrendering to evil, a false interpretation of turn the other cheek, but in responding to evil with good, and thus breaking the chain." And from Romans, we get this idea of do not repay evil with evil. God will recompense. And nonviolence is a way of being of one who is not afraid to confront evil with the weapons of love and truth. And I don't know, for those of you who are familiar with Mohandas Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr., you will know that this line is very much also the principles of Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. When they insisted that when you are a non-violent person, your weapons are love and truth. And I remember reading something about Gandhi before, where he actually said, "I am not a Christian, but I like Jesus Christ." Okay. Because he said when he read the New Testament, he was very impressed with Jesus. Okay. He is Hindu, by the way, by faith, his original faith. But later on he said, all the faiths that teach love and peace and justice, they are his religion. Okay? Okay, the only path is to renounce violence, even if you feel you are right. Begin anew with dialogue, with the attempt to find peace together, with a new concern for one another. This is Jesus' true message. Seek peace with the means of peace. And I wrote here, so I won't forget the story that Bishop Tony had related to a group, and I think I was there, that's why I know the story, regarding the Ipil massacre. So I stop a bit, not yet the next slide, but just to tell you a bit about that story that Bishop Tony related to us. During the Holy Week of 1995, a combined force of MNLF, Moro National Liberation Front, and Abu Sayyaf had attacked the market in Ipil, and in that attack, 60 people were killed. Okay, and they were Christians. And the bishop then in Ipil was Bishop Escaler. And what he did was he pleaded to the Christian community not to retaliate, because he was afraid of the cycle and the escalation that can happen if they took the matter into their hands to take revenge because of the 60 people who were killed in that attack from the MNLF and Abu Sayyaf. And the response, and I think Bishop Tony at that time was already in Ipil, the response that they took is what we call a wonderful nonviolent response. So instead of retaliation, they had organized cultural peace seminars, conversations among the Christians there, the Muslims, and the Subanons. And they were able to stop an escalation that could have happened if they had not acted non-violently as a result of that massacre in Ibil. And later, we know that Bishop Tony was one of the co-founders of the Bishops' Ulama Forum, and that happened the year after. And I think the rest is history. We all probably have heard of the Bishops' Ulama Conference, Bishops' Ulama Forum that became Bishops' Ulama Conference. That until now, I think our Bishop Tony is still involved with. Okay, next sample, next slide rather, please. Okay, so there are 3 examples of non-violence being dramatized in the life of Jesus. I mean, many examples, of course, but I just chose these 3. The first is this. Consider how Jesus dealt with a mob of men ready to stone to death a woman they accused of adultery. He did not use superior force to overcome their violence. He probably faced them with a calm, benign face, not with an angry one, which could have inflamed the situation. He simply said, "The one among you without sin, cast the first stone." Second example, during his arrest, the Gospels describe one of his disciples cutting off the ear of a high priest's servant. Jesus says, "Enough of this," and heals the servant's ear. He also says, "Put your sword back, for all who draw the sword will die by the sword." And the third example is, of course, the story of the Good Samaritan. I think we're all familiar with that. And Jesus extolled the Good Samaritan for his compassion. And now, from Pope Francis, he said in 2017, Jesus marked out the path of nonviolence. He walked that path to the very end, to the cross. Okay, so now just this one slide about my own insight from my own studying about peace and from my own experience. And I just want to say that Jesus' message of love makes us not violent. And I really believe that love is a foundation, because it is love that can inspire us to be just. Because it is not easy to be just unless we are inspired by the love that Jesus had taught us. And of course, we already know the saying that justice breeds peace and nonviolence. So that's the connection. So I always say, even to my own students, because I'm a teacher, the bottom line is always love. If we love, then we will be fair, we will be just, we will be compassionate. And when we have those things in place, you can more easily be assured that peace can happen. Alright, so now I'm on my last topic, which is the practice of nonviolence gives us hope. Nonviolence, reflection questions, but maybe self-reflection. I just thought, these are good questions to ask ourselves. quietly, if Jesus were alive today, what would he say about the following? Retaliation, revenge for harm done to us, eliminating people who are perceived as problems or scums of society. And specifically, I was thinking of the EJ case, the extrajudicial killings, when I wrote this question. And going to war to resolve disputes. All right. And then, now I move on. The practice of nonviolence gives us hope. Nonviolence means having both non-harming